Hey there, I'm mad enough to admit it. I watched the last couple of rounds of the Masters today, despite the fact that I don't care anything about grown men chasing a little round ball around the grass. And if you've heard me speak, you've read my book, you know anything about me, you know that one of my Terryisms is that life is not a spectator sport, to play more and to watch less. But sometimes we all get caught up in it, and sometimes it's worth watching. I get a little, frustrated with myself sometimes, especially this time of year when hockey season starts. As I like to say, hockey season goes on forever, and most of the time, I couldn't care less about hockey season until April when the playoff starts, and that's when hockey seasons begin. If you look close, you can see the faint whisper of my scruffy white beard growing as I grow my playoff beard, and I get aggravated because I get so emotionally attached and caught up and care so much about grown men chasing a little black puck around the ice this time of year. And I, most of the time during the course of the year, during the regular season, I don't go to many Predators games at all. Don't care that much about it. And people ask me, well, you're a big hockey player. You play all the time. You're a fan. Why don't you go? Well, they don't come watch me play. So why should I go watch them play? And most of the time, that's the way I feel about it, except today. And the great and amazing thing, one of the amazing things about sports, and one of the things sports have been such a central part of the human story for tens of thousands of years, is not because of grown men chasing a white ball around in the grass or grown men chasing a black puck around the ice. The competition has very little to do with it. It's about the story. And yeah, you can get caught up in the man versus man part of the story, but the great stories that almost always come from sport are man versus himself. It's about the hero's journey. And if you watched or know anything about what happened today, you know about the hero's journey. I was sitting there watching that, and I was trying to explain to my daughter what was going on, about how Tiger Woods, he really came from nowhere, and he had this epic rise to glory 20 years ago. He was a teenager and just shot onto the national scene and won every competition. He was the golden child, won every money, was on the cover of every magazine. He was the it guy. He was the man for a decade. An epic rise to glory, but the epic rise to glory is often followed by the fall from grace. Tiger had a fall from grace. I was trying to tell my daughter what happened, and I don't even remember. I know it involved his wife, a 9-iron, a hooker, and a Waffle House, something. I don't know the exact order that all those things came in, and he probably brought it all on himself, because after the epic rise to glory, there's the lack of humility that comes with that. And it's a powerful story because he fell from grace and disappeared from the national scene. He lost his wife, he lost his family, he lost his money, he lost his career. He was struggling and puttering along and hadn't won a major championship until today, for 11 years. So we had the epic rise to glory, the fall from grace, and we had perseverance. Because Tiger could have just gone away. He could have closed up shop and gone lived on a beach. I mean, even after his wife took half his money, he had plenty of money. He could have been a sports commentator and talked about the other people doing their thing. He could have become a spectator, but he decided to remain the man in the arena, and he persevered for 11 years. For 11 years, struggling along, doing his thing, trying to retain his former glory. And golf, as far as I can tell, as much as anything, I'm not a golfer, but it's more of a head sport than anything. Once your head is out of the game, it's hard to get your head back in the game, to get your head out of your head and concentrate on hitting that little white ball. My daughter was watching him as he stepped back. And he had that 1-foot putt to make. And he had to wait and let the other guy go first. My daughter says, man, or not my daughter, it was the announcer. The announcer says that, wonder what's going through Tiger's head right now. And I looked at my daughter and told her, said, if there's anything in the world going on in Tiger's head except how to make that 1-foot putt, then this is all over and this is all for naught. But it was the only thing in Tiger's head, as he went up and he made that last putt. And that was the moment of redemption. The moment, the perseverance all paid off. But the redemption didn't come when he put the putt in the hole. The redemption didn't come with the big fist pump across the green, and the moment didn't come when he was high-fiving the caddies and hugging the other golfers and walking past the thousands and thousands of people cheering his name, Tiger, Tiger, Tiger. The moment of redemption came, and you could see it on the screen. It was a beautiful and glorious thing. The moment of redemption came when he was hugging his children. And he went past everything. He hugged his children, and he hugged them just maybe a moment too long, and you couldn't even see his face on the screen because he was buried behind his daughter's head, and he was just hugging. You could just see in his muscles just how powerful that was for him. And my Facebook feed just blew up with grown men. I'm not crying, you're crying, because of the story. No one was crying about the 1-foot putt. No one was crying about the millions of dollars he made and the millions of more he's going to make in endorsements off of this deal. They were crying because of that moment of redemption, about that story, the human story. And stories are what separate human beings from other animals. There are other animals that can use symbols. They've proven that other animals can use tools, and other animals can use, they even have language. But I've never seen anything that says other animals can weave a narrative, can tell a story. And that's what human beings have been doing for thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of years. We gather around the fire. We gathered around the fire on the African savannah. We gathered around the fire in caves in Europe. We gathered around the fires in the mountains of South America, and we told each other stories. And the story you tell the world changes your world. That's the power of sports, is to convince us, to give us this story, this microcosm that we can use to symbolize the bigger world. But you don't have to be a professional athlete to have a story. As a human being, you have a human story, and your human story is one of your most valuable assets. And if you're in sales, your human story, your personal story of redemption, how you struggled through the redemption and how you overcame and persevered and redeemed yourself and got to be the human being that you are today, if you can tell that story well, and you can use that story to connect with other human beings, and more importantly, to show them how your struggles and your trials and tribulations and your perseverance and redemption make you the perfect person to help them solve the problem they're trying to solve today, to help them with their own hero's journey. That's more powerful than any tool, than any technology, than any CRM, than any Facebook Live, than any magic words that you use to close them. That's what forms the human bond, the magic power to transfer a story that exists in our head into another human being's head. And if you can learn that and use your story to weave a narrative that makes you their problem solver, miraculous things will happen for you. I'd love to hear about your story, and more importantly, I'd love to help you tell your story, to help you craft that narrative of how you overcame and how you can help your customers overcome. Give me a call. Let's talk about it. I'll see you next time.